start playing with certain people, we're witnessing this as we speak. When you start puffing on the wrong cigar, smoke will come. We watch old Puff Daddy play with the wrong people, right? And we watch something get exaggerated to a point to where what people chose to do is now a federal case.
What started as bars flying back and forth has now spiraled into something straight out of a crime thriller. Kendrick Lamar just dodged a murder attempt. Yeah, a real hit, and the whispers say the trail leads straight to Drake. With the feds circling like vultures, people are talking about a case that could not only end his freedom, but crush his entire empire.
That got to do with Kendrick.
Well, I'm not saying it
Got
has
shot
anything to
where?
do.
In Canada?
The rap beef had been brewing for more than a decade, but when it blew up, it wasn't just lyrical. It was nuclear. The flame was lit when J. Cole tried to calm the storm, talking about the so-called Big Three on Drake's first-person shooter. But Kendrick wasn't here to play nice. He took that crown talk personal and flipped the whole table over. In March 2024, on Future and Metro Boomin's Track Like That, Kendrick dropped a bar that shook the culture. Mother, the Big Three.
I like was he was speaking on people writing for Drake. Beam is a producer and a songwriter. He also called out Drake for using AI diss to diss him in the tailor-made freestyle.
It's just Big Me. That wasn't just a diss. It was a declaration of war against Drake and everything he stands for. Drake answered with push-ups and that wild freestyle where he used AI voices of Tupac and Snoop trying to shake the game, but nothing could prepare hip-hop for what was about to come next. Kendrick returned with Euphoria on April 30th, a 6-minute lyrical massacre crafted by Soundwave and Jack Antonoff. Every line felt like a blade, every beat like a bullet, and by the time it ended, fans knew this wasn't just rap beef anymore. This was survival. Kendrick came for Drake's jugular, no mercy. He dragged his authenticity, clowned his fashion, even questioned his parenting and his right to drop the N-word. But the crazy part?
Dropped 616 right after Euphoria. We weren't expecting that just because of the way Kendrick puts out music. We wasn't expecting a back-to-back.
Right.
Then Drake comes with Family Matters, which I think is phenomenal.
Everyone knew this was just Kendrick stretching before the real workout. On this joint, he painted Drake as a master manipulator, a straight-up liar, even flipping Drake's work on HBO's Euphoria back on him. But that wasn't the knockout punch. Kendrick was just loading the clip. A few days later, he unleashed 616 in LA, and that one cut deep. Kendrick claimed Drake's own OVO insiders were leaking dirt straight to him. To top it off, the title itself was bold disrespect. He hijacked Drake's signature timestamp format just to flex that he could do everything Drake does, only sharper. Then came May 3rd, 2024, the night the war hit a deadly new level. Drake fired off Family Matters, an 8-minute bomb with a full music video. He accused Kendrick of putting hands on his longtime partner Whitney Alford and cheating on her, but he didn't stop there. Drake even tossed out a scandalous claim that one of Kendrick's kids wasn't his, pointing the finger at business partner Dave Free as the real father. The streets couldn't believe what they were hearing. It was no longer just a rap beef, this was personal warfare. Kendrick didn't waste a second. Less than 20 minutes after Family Matters hit the internet, he came back with Meet the Grams, and this one was flat out sinister. He aimed his words straight at Drake's family, talking directly to his mom, his pops, his son Adonis, and even mentioning a mysterious daughter that people didn't even know existed. He told them point blank their son was a fraud and a predator, pure psychological warfare. The cover art sent chills too, a single glove, throwing back to the O.J. Simpson trial, while the title mocked Drake's real name, Aubrey Graham.
Less than 30 minutes, Kendrick stepped on that record with his own record about Drake's family, Meet the Grams. Then Kendrick turned around and did what we was waiting on Drake to do, and that's give us a diss bop.
This wasn't just rap beef anymore. This was a mind game designed to break Drake from the inside out. But Kendrick wasn't done, not even close. The very next day, he unleashed the track that flipped the whole culture upside down. On May 4th, he dropped Not Like Us, produced by DJ Mustard, and it was more than just a diss, it was an anthem. Kendrick painted Drake as a culture vulture, a colonizer, even accusing him of being a pimp, exploiting the very scene he claimed to rep. The visuals made it even wilder. The cover art showed Drake's Toronto mansion lit up with red dots like registry markers, while the music video featured Kendrick smashing an owl piñata, symbolizing Drake's OVO empire. The crowd didn't just listen, they rallied. This was no longer about verses, it was about survival and reputation. From the second it dropped, Not Like Us felt different. It had that West Coast bounce that instantly turned it into a street anthem. The track shot straight to #1, racking up 21 million streams in just 3 days before eventually smashing past 1 billion. But the numbers weren't the wildest part. This record united the entire West Coast against Drake, transforming a diss into a full-on movement.
I heard Kendrick's the Meet the Grams record when he started writing letters to his mom, his dad, and his kids. I said, we got to fight now. We got to fight.
Yo, he literally says to his mom on the record, your son should die.
Drake tried to clap back on May 5th with The Heart Part 6, scrambling to deny Kendrick's accusations about him being a predator. He argued that if any of it were true, he would have been arrested already. Then, in a desperate twist, he claimed he intentionally leaked fake info to Kendrick about having a secret daughter, basically trying to flip the narrative and clown him. But by then, the damage was already permanent. The critics saw it. The fans saw it. Drake's voice sounded shaky, defensive, drained, like a man who knew the war had slipped out of his hands. The streets had already picked their champion, and it wasn't the boy from Toronto anymore. But here's where it got terrifying. Hip-hop's lyrical battlefield suddenly spilled into real life. Kendrick's savage bars and that dark imagery in Not Like Us turned into something deadly. On May 7, 2024, just 3 days after the track dropped, real shooters pulled up to Drake's Toronto mansion and opened fire.
And it's not going to take me almost 2 days to reply to Meet the Grams and Not Like Us.
Maybe not. I think you've given Kendrick benefit of the doubt because you're a light-skinned hater.
This wasn't hype. This wasn't clout chasing. This was a real drive-by that nearly ended lives and shook the culture to its core. Court documents later revealed just how wild that night really got. Armed gunmen pulled up to Drake's mansion at 21 Park Lane Circle in the dead of night, yelling his name before unleashing shots. One bullet slammed into the front door, while another tore through his security guard, leaving him badly wounded. For nearly half an hour, Drake and his crew fought to keep the man alive, pressing towels against the wounds, blood everywhere, desperate to hold on until the ambulance finally showed up. This wasn't rap beef anymore. This was life or death in real time. But the madness didn't stop there. The very next day, somebody tried to tunnel under Drake's security fence like it was a prison break. When security caught him, he started screaming racist slurs and threatening Drake before being dragged off the property. Then, on May 9th, another trespasser stormed the mansion and actually got into a physical brawl with Drake's guards. He ended up cuffed and carted off to the hospital after the fight. Police tried to downplay it, saying they couldn't confirm if these back-to-back incidents were tied to the Drake-Kendrick beef, but come on, the timing was too loud to ignore. Fans were left stunned, realizing the lyrics and shots on wax had spilled all the way into Drake's front yard, turning Toronto's most protected mansion into ground zero of the most dangerous rap war of this generation. 3 days after Kendrick drops a track calling Drake a predator, plastering his mansion with offender markers on the cover art, and suddenly shooters and trespassers are pulling up to Drake's home. Nobody believed that was coincidence. These back-to-back incidents forced the hip-hop world to face a brutal reality. This rap war wasn't just lyrical anymore, it was bleeding into legal battles, violent clashes, and even whispers of murder plots. While Drake was patching up bullet holes at his mansion and fighting off intruders, Kendrick was celebrating like a king. He flipped all that chaos into momentum, staging his iconic pop-out concert on June 19, 2024 at the CAA Forum in Inglewood. The show was pure spectacle. Kendrick performed Not Like Us 5 times in a row, while West Coast legends like Dr. Dre and YG stood beside him, sending a message louder than any diss track. The West Coast was riding with Kendrick all the way. It felt less like a concert and more like a coronation, an entire coast uniting behind one man, while his rival struggled to keep his world from collapsing. The streets were buzzing, but what really cut deep was seeing so many artists Drake had put on, people he helped elevate with features and cosigns, now standing shoulder to shoulder with Kendrick.
Let me ask you, do you think Drake needed help?
It's not that he needed help.
He didn't need no help.
It's not that he needed help, but like everyone's doing a victory lap with Kendrick, whereas all the people, and none of the people that were there with Kendrick, did Kendrick transform their lives by doing features for them for free and totally transform their careers.
Loyalty went out the window, and the message was crystal clear. When it came time to pick sides, the culture crowned Kendrick. that dominance didn't stop there. Fast forward to February 2nd, 2025, Kendrick's Not Like Us completely demolished the Grammy Awards, sweeping 5 trophies including Record of the Year and Song of the Year. It wasn't just a diss anymore, it was history in the making, with Kendrick rewriting the rules of hip-hop right in front of everyone's eyes. Kendrick's run didn't just stop at the Grammys, he snatched up Best Rap Song, Best Rap Performance, and Best Music Video. No diss record in history had ever pulled that much mainstream love and critical respect. But then came the ultimate flex. The Super Bowl halftime show on February 9th, 2025 in New Orleans. Kendrick hit the stage with Not Like Us and shocked the world by bringing out Serena Williams, yes, Drake's old flame, to dance right next to him in front of 133.5 million viewers. That was a victory lap turned into global humiliation for Drake, a not-so-subtle message. The war was over, and Kendrick was the last man standing. But while Kendrick was busy soaking in the spotlight, Drake was plotting something way more serious, legal warfare that had the potential to shake the music industry to its core. On January 15th, 2025, Drake filed an 81-page federal lawsuit against Universal Music Group, the very label repping both him and Kendrick. He accused UMG of defamation and harassment, claiming they promoted Not Like Us while knowing it spread false and malicious claims, painting him as a predator and trafficker. Drake's legal team pointed directly to the fallout, arguing UMG's push of Kendrick's record led to real-world violence, including the May 2024 shooting at his Toronto mansion, where his security guard was left bleeding out, plus the wave of trespassing incidents that followed. But the most shocking piece of the lawsuit? Drake flat out argued that Not Like Us wasn't just a diss track, it was a weapon of influence, a cultural grenade that inspired attempted murder and almost cost him his life. And just when the industry thought the beef was over, Drake's lawsuit suggested it was only entering a deadlier chapter.
Oh yeah, top 5 in the is a street presser bun. Fuck Drake, he got real over there. Top, he got real over there, but them ain't saying what they gonna do or whatever like that.
Drake's lawsuit went even deeper, accusing Universal Music Group of using payola and shady tactics to artificially pump up streams for Kendrick's Not Like Us, a record that painted him as a criminal. But buried in all that legal jargon was a bombshell claim. Drake said the entire campaign wasn't just about music, it directly set the stage for an attempted hit on his life. According to his legal team, the cover art of Not Like Us, showing his Toronto mansion marked up with red pins that looked like offender registry dots, wasn't just provocative, it was basically an open invitation for vigilantes to hunt him down. Drake's lawyers argued this wasn't artistic expression, it was calculated psychological warfare designed to put a target on his back. Instead of swinging directly at Kendrick, Drake's team zeroed in on UMG's so-called corporate greed. They alleged the label used bots, bought streams, and paid off radio to blow the track up even bigger, all while knowing it was packed with false and defamatory claims. And by amplifying a song that exposed his home and tied him to predator imagery, they argued UMG had created the exact atmosphere that led to the May 7th shooting outside his mansion. Things escalated even further in February 2025 when the complaint got updated. Drake's lawyers added Kendrick's Grammy sweep and Super Bowl halftime performance as proof UMG was doubling down on the smear campaign. They claim millions of viewers now believe Kendrick's bars were factual evidence, leaving Drake's safety and reputation in ruins. UMG, though, didn't back down. They clapped back hard, saying Drake was twisting the narrative, reminding the court he willingly entered rap battles and only ran to the law after getting embarrassed in front of the world. The courtroom drama was now just as explosive as the tracks that started it. By March 2025, Universal Music Group hit back hard. They filed motions to toss Drake's lawsuit completely, brushing it off as nothing more than a distraction. Their stance? They were simply promoting Kendrick's music and making money like any label would. But behind closed doors, industry execs were sweating, because if Drake actually won, it could rewrite the entire playbook, forcing labels to think twice about promoting diss tracks that cross into serious allegations. Suddenly, labels weren't just spectators anymore. They could be held legally responsible for the chaos those records unleashed in the streets. The lawsuit sparked a bigger debate. Where's the line between artistic expression and corporate accountability? Should rappers be able to say whatever they want in battle, while the suits who profit stay untouchable? Or should the whole machine face consequences when the lyrics spill into real-world bloodshed?
Kendrick's not
Dude
showing
ain't
up for
nobody, bro. Dude is nobody. Come on, we watched this same dude get mushed in the face and kicked in the ass.
Fans and critics were split. Some praised the beef as proof hip-hop's competitive fire was back, while others warned this was setting a dangerous precedent that could change rap forever. And social media only made the flames hotter. Trolls on Google Maps started tagging Drake's Toronto mansion with captions like "Owned by Kendrick," mocking the very imagery from "Not Like Us." The viral spread of those allegations meant millions of people could see, share, and believe them within hours, blurring the line between music and reality. Meanwhile, the streets weren't staying quiet. Toronto rapper Top 5, allegedly tied to Drake, jumped into the madness during an interview, threatening Kendrick directly and saying he'd shoot him if he ever set foot in Toronto. The feud was no longer just a chart war, it was hovering on the edge of something catastrophic. The threats turned into a full-blown showdown when Kendrick and Top Dog Entertainment announced their tour, and one of the biggest dates was set for June 12th at Toronto's Rogers Centre, right in Drake's backyard. The announcement wasn't just a concert drop, it was Kendrick planting his flag in enemy territory, showing the world he wasn't scared of Drake or anybody around him. He made it clear he'll perform wherever he wants, no matter who's watching. But the key questions in this historic rap war still hang in the air with no answers. The May 7th shooting at Drake's mansion is technically still an open investigation. Nobody's been arrested. The threats shouted that night make the connection to the beef look obvious, but no smoking gun has ever directly tied Kendrick or his camp to the shooters. It's a mystery sitting at the heart of hip-hop's deadliest feud. Meanwhile, Drake's monster lawsuit against UMG is crawling through the courts. The label's motion to dismiss is still pending, and the outcome could make history. If Drake wins, it could mean record labels are legally responsible when they promote diss tracks that spill into real-life violence. That's not just a legal battle, it's a fight that could change the way music is made, marketed, and consumed forever. Regardless of how the courts rule, this feud has already left scars on hip-hop. People compare it to Tupac versus Biggie or Jay-Z versus Nas. But this one hits different, because it isn't just about records, it's about bullets, lawsuits, and global headlines. It showed how the machine of modern hip-hop, streaming platforms, social media, viral algorithms can take lyrical competition and supercharge it into real-world chaos in a way nobody could have imagined back in the day. To really understand how this whole thing spiraled into shootings, lawsuits, and murder talk, you gotta rewind the clock and look at how Drake and Kendrick went from brothers in arms to sworn enemies. This wasn't always beef. It started as respect, even love, between two kings on the rise.
Oh, that's Drake's hometown. How do you think this is gonna go down?
Well, it's obvious. At least we can say, well, at least Drake ain't in control of Toronto because he ain't stopping that show.
Back in 2011, Drake was already stacking stupid bread off radio smashes, while Kendrick was still that hungry young lion from Compton, spitting his way out the trenches. They were moving like allies. Kendrick even jumped on Drake's classic Take Care with that raw, buried alive interlude where he spit about first meeting Drake and how their paths crossed in the game. Fans could feel the authenticity like this was the beginning of a legendary alliance. The vibe continued in 2012. Kendrick and Drake linked up again on Poetic Justice. Plus that AO Cap Rocky Banger Problems, keeping their chemistry alive. And when Kendrick opened for Drake on the Club Paradise tour, it looked like they were solid brothers in music. At the time, nobody could have predicted the storm that was coming, but anyone who knows this industry knows the truth. Friendships flip quick once egos, fame, and competition get involved. And even in those early collabs, the seeds of conflict were already being planted. Looking back now, it's crazy. These two would go from rocking tours together to hurling accusations so heavy they sparked bullets in the streets. The first visible crack in that brotherhood came in August 2013 when Kendrick dropped his infamous verse on Big Sean's Control. That verse didn't just shake the rap game, it was the moment everyone realized this friendship was about to turn into a rivalry for the ages. This wasn't just a guest feature. Nah, Kendrick's Control verse was a declaration of war dressed up as friendly competition. He name-dropped Drake along with a long list of rappers, flat out saying he was trying to murder them lyrically and crowning himself king of the whole rap game. Then he pushed it even further, claiming he was the king of New York, wild disrespect considering he's from Compton. Drake's response was telling. Instead of firing back with bars, he tried to keep it cool in a Billboard interview, brushing it off and saying Kendrick wasn't a real threat, calling the verse ambitious. But anybody with street smarts could see through that act. Drake was heated behind the scenes, and the calm face was just a cover for how deep those shots really cut.
What that got to do with Kendrick?
Well, I'm not
He
saying it
got
has
shot
anything
where?
to do
In Canada?
In Canada, yeah.
So you really believe
It has
Kendrick?
nothing to do with Kendrick.
Kendrick wasn't backing down either. At the 2013 BET Hip Hop Awards cypher, he spit a ruthless line clearly aimed at Drake, talking about tucking a sensitive rapper back in his pajama clothes. That was a direct jab at Drake's Nothing Was the Same era, and everyone in the culture knew it. From that point forward, the friendship was officially dead. It was rivalry time. For years after, they kept the smoke in the subliminal zone, trading jabs without crossing the line into all-out war. Kendrick threw shade on tracks like King Kunta off To Pimp a Butterfly, while Drake fired back with slick shots on the language. The tension was simmering, the rivalry was real, but they kept it just shy of going nuclear until 2023 when everything finally exploded. While Kendrick was sitting back plotting his moves, Drake was busy fighting off battles with other rappers. First came the Meek Mill drama in 2015, when Meek accused him of using ghostwriters. Then came the war with Pusha T in 2018, and that one cut deep. Pusha dropped the story of Adidon, not only exposing Drake's secret son, Adonis, but also putting his family business on blast for the whole world to see. That beef showed everybody there were no boundaries in rap warfare. Family, kids, personal skeletons, nothing was off limits. And while Drake was in the trenches dealing with all that heat, Kendrick was posted in the shadows, watching and learning. The Compton King was studying every move, every weakness, and stacking up ammunition. Hip-hop heads knew it was only a matter of time before Kendrick and Drake clashed head-on, and when they finally did, it was going to be deadly. The match got lit in October 2023 when Drake and J. Cole dropped their collab first-person shooter on Drake's For All the Dogs. Cole tried to play peacemaker, calling Drake, Kendrick, and himself the Big Three, like they were equals holding the throne together. But Kendrick wasn't about to share no crown. The fuse blew in March 2024 when Kendrick hopped on Future and Metro Boomin's Like That and dropped the bar that changed everything. Mother, the Big Three, it's just Big Me. That wasn't just shade, it was a full declaration of war. Telling Drake and everybody else that he was the one true king of rap, Kendrick didn't stop there either. He doubled down with a cold comparison, him as Prince, Drake as Michael Jackson. He was saying straight up, Drake might have the flashy hits, but Kendrick had the artistry and credibility to outlast him in the long run. And that's when the fire turned into an inferno. That verse didn't just shake the culture, it detonated. The track shot straight to #1 and camped there for 3 weeks, making it clear this wasn't some light competition. This was about to be the biggest rap war the game had ever seen. What followed turned the beef from lyrical sparring into something darker. Real shooters, real blood, and real consequences spilling into the streets. J. Cole tried to slide in with 7-Minute Drill, throwing shade at Kendrick's catalog, but it backfired quick. Just days later, at his own Dreamville festival, Cole stood on stage and called the diss a mistake, basically waving the white flag. That left Drake all alone, forced to face the full wrath of one of the most surgical lyricists to ever touch a mic. But if there's one thing about Drake, it's that he doesn't run from smoke. On April 13th, 2024, he dropped Push-Ups, Drop and Give Me 50, clowning Kendrick's height, his pop collabs, and even his place in the culture. Then, just a week later on April 19th, he went nuclear with that tailor-made freestyle, disrespectfully using AI versions of Tupac and Snoop to diss Kendrick, something fans and critics called one of the wildest, most reckless moves in battle rap history. But even with all that, nothing, absolutely nothing, could have prepared the world for what was coming next. Kendrick wasn't stepping into this war to edge out a win. He was plotting to torch Drake's entire legacy and leave his empire in ruins. Looking back, all the signs were there. This wasn't just beef anymore. It was a cultural demolition in the making. The way Kendrick had been slowly but surely building his case against Drake's authenticity, stacking diss after diss like courtroom evidence, was ruthless. Add in the massive wave of support Kendrick earned across the hip-hop community, while Drake found himself more and more isolated, and you could see it. This showdown was always going to be bigger than anything rap had ever witnessed before. But the truth is, the story isn't finished yet. With court battles still dragging on and both artists pushing forward with their careers, the entire culture is holding its breath, waiting to see how this explosive conflict will end. Will there be redemption, collapse, or something even crazier none of us saw coming? If you rocked with this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video, and I'll catch you on the next one.